Welcome to Art Share, the podcast for artists by artists, with your hosts, Brigid Ashwood, Ash Evans, and Mary Layton.
Welcome back to another episode of Art Share Podcast. Last week we were talking about artists, myths, and misconceptions. That's hard to say when you have a slight lisp, which I do. So I say myths and misconceptions 5 times fast. It's not so great. So we're going to talk more about that today because we only made it halfway through our talking points. What was one of the things we were just talking about? Oh, Ash had brought up in the last episode, you had said something I thought was really cool was, muse or money when you're talking about like what to work on, right? And that made me think of just the myth of the following your muse or working only when the muse strikes. And there's a great TED Talk by Elizabeth Gilbert. I'll try to grab the link and put it in the description for you guys, where Elizabeth Gilbert, she's an author who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and she writes about inspiration and the muses and where your ideas come from. And it's just a really helpful, really helpful talk for anybody to listen to. But I think that that's definitely an artist's myth and misconception that can do more harm than good. This idea that you're only working when the muse strikes, when in fact you can train yourself and train your muse, if it's an embodiment to you, to work when you need to.
That's the biggest benefit, I think, of going to art school was they got you into the habit of, you went to class and it was studio time and you couldn't be like, I'm not inspired, so I can't, do this figure drawing. That's not how it works. It becomes habitual. Another myth is that artists don't have schedules and don't stick to schedules. And I think that's BS because you need a regimen that keeps you in line. You don't need to be inspired to work. It's more helpful. It's more pleasurable, but especially if you're just doing commercial work, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so inspired. It's like angels are touching my soul. I'm going to paint this teacup for figurines. I mean, honestly. That's cute. It's a cute thought. Like, it's adorable that people think that. I think Stephanie Law did a blog about that also at some point, like a year or two ago, about how you don't need this muse to function as an artist. I mean, like I said, some of us get blocked and sometimes ideas don't come quickly, but it doesn't mean you can't work or hone your skill or paint. I mean, it's just, your hands aren't broken.
It literally is a muscle and you can train it. And I'm having a moment of deja vu. Did we do an episode about this already? I'm feeling like we already talked about this at some point, but oh well, bears repeating.
I think so. Didn't I say like inspiration came from people's butts?
I think we touched on it, but probably not in this.
All of it is when they got inspired. So I feel like that happened.
I feel like we talked about this a couple episodes ago, but the problem is, guys, is we record 2 episodes a day and then we go like a couple weeks because of the way we record. So I kind of feel like we might have, but whatever, it bears repeating. And okay, fast forward if you don't want to hear this part. But yeah, you can train yourself. And I mean, when I started writing a couple years ago, and it's a pen name, and no, I won't tell you who it is. And it was really challenging because it was a new creative muscle that I had to work. And my husband was working from home too for the first time. And so we were both working from home every day. And when he would come in and have a question or interrupt me, it wasn't such a big deal when I'm painting. I'm relatively interruptible when I'm painting, unless I'm sort of in the idea and composition stages, then I'm kind of like lost in my head and stuff. But like once I'm just like the grunt work of painting, you know, color, blend, whatever, it's fine. But with writing, it was really like precious and tragic and excruciating, right? And I couldn't be interrupted. He'd come in and ask me some question, and it would take me like 45 minutes to get my head back in the game. And by then he had like another question or something, and it was torturous. And I really despaired of ever wrangling that. But I did. I trained myself to be more interruptible. And then from that, I trained myself to be able to call the muse to me when I need to. And I have tricks and stuff that work for me. But the fact that I was able to do that and that it gets better all the time, I think that's huge. That's a great thing to learn about yourself, that you're trainable.
It's like working out. I mean, the first day sucks, you know, day 5 sucks. But a month into it, it's fantastic and you feel great.
I'm still having deja vu because I feel like you brought this up last time and I was just like, no, stop.
No idea.
No, like working out has never gotten good to me ever. So
I don't get the runner's high. I don't get that. I think that's just like your body telling you you're about to die. But it's just saying, don't.
It's the angels beckoning you.
Yeah, they're like, come into the light. Screw that. I don't have that. I do feel better like after I work out if I can get it. Like if I can get through the month slog, but I don't get, the high. It gets better, but I'm not happy about it. That's the difference. Because that's garbage.
Right.
If lifting a donut was exercise, I would be really good.
The thing with exercise, it's not so much that I don't enjoy doing it, but I enjoy having done it.
Right.
That's when it, after it, you think, oh, I'm glad I did that. But during the time, nah.
That's a writer's quote too. That exact same thing. Who said that? I don't like writing, but I enjoy having written.
Was it Dorothy Parker?
I feel like it was Dorothy Parker. Let me go Google it really quick because this is like bothering me. I enjoy having written. Quote investigator. Dorothy Parker.
Yay!
We're so awesome. Dorothy Parker is just full of awesomeness anyway.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah, because here's another quote from her that I keep on my wall. And she was like, she sent a telegram to somebody. And, to her editor, I guess, because she was missing a deadline, right? And so if this is Dorothy Parker, if this is how Dorothy Parker felt, like you're in good company. This is instead of telephoning because I can't look you in the voice. I simply cannot get that thing done yet. Never have done such hard night and day work. Never have so wanted anything to be good. And all I have is a pile of paper covered with wrong words. Can only keep at it and hope to heaven to get it done. Don't know why it is so terribly difficult or I so terribly incompetent. Okay? So if Dorothy Parker said that, you're in good company and just keep at it. You can
keep plugging.
How much you want to bet like we have an episode from a couple months ago that is basically this exact conversation?
I feel like it was one from when we had like a lot of people on our chair. I feel like it was from years ago and not months ago.
I don't know, dude. I'm gonna have to like listen to and double check every episode now before I put it up.
Right. Well, what's the next myth then? So we don't waste time on this one.
Right. The next myth: millionaires.
We wish.
If anyone has like a modicum of success, they instantly assume that they're like multimillionaires.
Like you have a website and figurines and stickers and Hot Topic. You must be a billionaire. You must give Christian Grey a run for his money.
Just like go to the clubs and make it rain because I have something and like it's funny. Like the larger the license, the less money per unit you actually make. Because like for Hot Topic, for example, to distribute products there, they have to have a 70% markup, which means the product can only cost so much. And your royalties coming from the product cost. It's teeny. So you get, like 50 cents or, sometimes pennies. So no, you're not, just because they have a sticker, you know, on something in a store doesn't mean they're a millionaire. I wish that was true. But yeah, no, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not starving. I pay my bills, but I'm not.
I didn't have breakfast.
I'm not like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a Lamborghini.
Right.
That's just not. Success doesn't always equate into millions of dollars.
Right. I can remember when I sort of first started out, and I can remember having this fantasy, like maybe one day I'll get like one $50 order a day. Wow. That'll be like amazing. Okay, so get out your calculator and do the math on that. It's not a whole lot. Especially when you calculate your expenses and stuff. But you know, and then once that happens, then the bar is always being moved. You're always trying for more and harder. But which actually that kind of reminds me of a side tangent. So yeah. And then, let's see. Okay, so I guess we covered millionaires. No, this idea that just because somebody has licensing, that they're incredibly wealthy. Don't assume that. The internet has made us all famous, made us all look more successful than we are. So Mary had brought up another myth, which was talent versus skill.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they see your work, one of the first things they say is, "Oh, you're so talented." And while it's a lovely compliment, I sometimes think it discounts the skill and the training, the years you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try, when I compliment someone, I try to say, "Wow, you've got some skills," you know.
Right.
Because as an artist, you know that. But people who aren't artists don't understand what goes into it. They just, to them, it's like magic.
Right.
You create this gorgeous, and that whole thing is that's another Oprah. Is that what you say? That's a whole other Oprah. How art's magic, and you just poof in it there. But yeah, but that is something that can be bothering, the talent versus skill thing, because I always sort of think of talent as an affinity, or as sort of, you've got an affinity for creating art, but it takes skill to actually do it.
Right. It has to be nurtured.
Yes, exactly. And you may have an affinity or a talent for imagining a lovely image, but you have to have the skills to take that from your brain and put it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
You need both instead of either or, and that seems to be the biggest disconnect when it comes to talent versus skill, is that it's an either or scenario, when really it's a combination of the two is what really gets you to that level.
Right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So you need the often liken it to playing piano. And that, I think most people would agree that, if someone is dedicated and takes the time and practices, they can learn to play piano. But does that mean that they are going to have whatever that spark is that they need to become a world famous pianist that people pay thousands of dollars for tickets to go see live in concert? No. But they're executing it. They're doing the same thing, the same finger movements that this famous pianist is doing, but it's just not the same. So that's why you need both. You need the talent and the hard work. You need to nurture it and refine it. But then again, don't be like a jerk. If somebody says, "Wow, you're so talented," just say thanks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it is a compliment. People are complimenting you when they say it. They're telling you that they appreciate what you do. But I know some people, not so much me personally, but I have heard people really complain about being called talented. It's almost an insult to them. I've read blogs where that's an insult. It's not an insult. It's intended as a compliment. But I do get their point that it's not just, "Oh, you're talented." You're also skillful.
I think here's where it gets kind of aggravating to me, is when a person says, "Wow, you're so talented," and then they say, I would love to draw, but I can't draw very well. I dabble a little bit, but I can't draw very well. And I'd love to be able to do what you did. I think when they take it that step further, that's when it gets kind of frustrating, because what I want to say is, don't you think I started where you are?
Oh, yeah.
The difference between us is I worked hard. Are you working hard? You know what I mean? And so that's where it feels like they're almost suggesting that you just won the genetic lottery and you didn't have to work.
Right.
That's really what, and we're saying, oh, no. There's blood, sweat, and tears went into this. And I worked my butt off, and my early work looks just like yours. That's where you are in your journey. Well, if you have the guts to keep going, and do the hard work, then perhaps you could get here too. And so when it feels like they're devaluing your journey, that's when I think it gets frustrating. But again, I don't think anybody intends to come off like that.
Nobody says that as an insult.
Right.
They're devaluing themselves too.
Yes.
They don't have the talent to be able to do that. I see a lot of people say that too. And it's just like, well, no, you're lacking the mindset and the drive to get yourself there, because you've already defeated yourself by saying you're not talented enough to do it.
Right. And I feel a little mini rant coming on, because can feel it rising like bile in my throat. Yes, because that's very frustrating when I hear people say, well, I don't have the time, or no, you're not prioritizing it. And I know people don't want to hear this, and they say that they don't have the time, or no, I work 3 jobs and I have 28 kids and everything. But there are other things you're prioritizing, and don't, it's an insult to suggest, we've all got the same amount of time in the day, and we've all got to figure out what we're going to do. And some people have more obligations and challenges than others, but you can still reprioritize your life to try to find the time. Okay. And obviously I'm not talking about somebody who is like the sole 24 hours a day caregiver of somebody who's ill or something. Obviously there's always going to be exceptions to what I'm saying, but, the point is you've got to put in the work to reap the reward. And one thing that people have said to me as well too is, well, I'm already in my 30s, or I'm already in my 40s. The career that I want, I should have started sooner. It would take so much time. It would take so much time to get there. And there's this motivational speaker, Earl Nightingale, I think was his name, who had a great line about that. And he said that, don't let the time it's going to take to do something keep you from doing it, because the time will pass anyway. Time will pass anyway. 5 years from now will still happen. It's just that if you didn't do the work 5 years from now, you won't be a better artist than you were right now.
I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but Vera Wang was a figure skater who failed to qualify for the Olympics. She designed her first dress at 40.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She has an empire now, and she designed her first dress at 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The time is going to pass anyway. And it's not like we were all just born, like we shot out of the womb with, like money to be able to quit our jobs and stuff to make art.
Right.
Not everybody had a trust fund to just be like, you know what, I'm just never going to work and I'm totally going to do. I mean, we all had jobs before we quit to become full-time artists. For me, it was a process. It was, I did full-time job, and then I did art nights and weekends, and then I had a part-time job, and I did arts afternoons and weekends, and then I had a full-time job, or art was my full-time job, and then it's just art all the time. It's just, you're not going to just wake up one day, be an artist, have money, and that's just how it happens. They don't, just hand you a beret and a paintbrush and go, all right, now there you go. That's not how it works.
Right. And everybody has this fantasy that that's what they want, that they just want to be handed everything. But really, that's no fun. It's the journey that's fun, not the destination. I mean, I think once you get to the destination, you enjoy it a while, and then you pick a spot further out on the map and you keep going, because otherwise you may as well die. And I'm always telling friends who say something about like, well, their age. I'm like, well, who wants to peak early? I'm glad I wasn't like Justin Bieber or something. I'm glad. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be with my career right now. Nowhere near. Okay. But that keeps me going. That keeps me feeling fresh and motivated and alive. I'm glad that I haven't hit that yet. And once I hit where my current goal is, I'll keep going from that. But I'm glad that I didn't reach my personal goal of success at say 25. Okay. Because I don't think I would have appreciated it. And well, then what? It's only down from there. So you're going to spend the next, 60 years of your life a has-been in obscurity, peak late, then die at the top, right? Better.
Yeah.
That's my plan. Just saying. Yeah, deja vu. I really feel like we covered all this stuff already. Well, whatever. We'll just do another show. Okay. That brings me to another bullet point. Oh, okay. And so this was the right. We talked a little bit about like flaky and disorganized. Okay. So the reason the artist myths I thought was kind of a good idea too, is that this weekend, a friend of mine had a phone call about a family member of theirs who has been a sort of a frustrated artist her whole life. And what I say is frustrated artist is that she's got the talent and the skill, but she just has other challenges that have kept her from focusing on what she thinks she wants. Okay. And these are challenges she would have, artist or no. It has nothing to do with her being an artist. And I heard this friend of mine on the phone say, oh, she's just being an artist about herself. You know how it is. And I looked at my friend and smacked him on the arm and said, hey, because that's exactly what we're talking about. Why are there's these myths about artists being that their life is a mess and that they're flaky and disorganized and can never get anything done.
Yeah, we're not train wrecks. I mean, I just don't really understand.
Well, some of us are, but not because we're artists.
I mean, like barely functional, like
Right.
I dress myself in the morning all by myself. I don't like crawl out of a pile of like vices because they all think we have some, like some kind of addiction or whatever. And that's fine if you do, but not all artists have to be high or drunk or whatever. I get a lot of, I guess because I paint stuff with a lot of rainbow colors. So like, oh my God, you must have been like so high when you did that. I'm just like, I have never touched that in my life. So no, I wasn't high.
I'm high on life, man.
Right? I'm like, are you high? So we don't all have like living crack dens and have all these terrible things and all this adversity to be able to create. It's funny. And we're not flaky. I mean, God, I have things scheduled into the year 2018. I have a planner that goes that far ahead because I'm just that person.
Right.
You have to organize and function. It's still a business.
But that's what I mean. Those myths have it's not just artists who are dealing with the myths, it's the greater culture at large. They buy into them as well too. Everybody is excusing her behavior, this friend of a friend, based on, oh well, she's an artist, and her latest thing is not even latest because she's done this before, is that she wants people to she wants to find patrons, people to fund her lifestyle so that she can create. And whenever I see her, she would say to me, well, but you can do all this. You're fortunate because you can work from home and your life is such that, it accommodates that. Okay. And my response was that it does now. It didn't always. I worked hard to set up the life that I have now. And I painted in a closet as a single mom living in my mom's basement, working a couple jobs. Okay. And I started my website that way, painting literally in a closet. So that's no excuse. And this idea, it's interesting because now we have Patreon, the website Patreon, where you can get patrons to fund you every month. And I think it's a great idea. However, there isn't something for nothing. And I've told this person in my life before that that patronage of the arts is a beautiful thing, but it's a contract. It's a social contract between you and the patron. And if you aren't producing, then what are they paying for you? Okay. And it's even a broader social contract than just between the patron and the artist. The artist is representing the culture of art. They're representing their contribution to our culture. And that's what the patron is honoring, is they're saying, you know what, I think that you have something valuable that you're going to contribute to our culture at large in perpetuity. And so I'm going to contribute to you now so that you can do this work because I believe in you. And I think it needs to be in the universe. It needs to be in the world. And then if you don't produce, you're failing on your end of the bargain.
Well, you're failing every other artist that they could have patronized, that you completely turned them off to doing so because you failed to produce the work. And you've perpetuated the myth of flakiness, and you've perpetuated this slothful whatever, and you've turned this person off to helping other artists. And that's actually really gross.
Mm-hmm.
I have Patreon patrons. It is a giant responsibility that like weighs on me. I actually tell them every month exactly what I spend my money on. It's never for like pair of shoes. It's, you know, art supplies, something for the business. I feel so guilty because my past Patreon month, I said, you guys don't even have to pay me because I am embroiled in Kickstarter and I feel like garbage because I am not painting anything. So I don't deserve money, and bless their hearts, they paid me anyway. So I have to write them. I didn't even realize it until money hit my account. I'm like, where is this money from? And it was Patreon. But you've got to give as much as you get, if not more, in that situation, because there isn't a free ride. I don't get this fund my life mentality. You know, if you want to go on a trip somewhere or something and, you know, you're not dying the next day or something, why can't you just save up for the trip? Like, I want to go to Japan, but I'm not going to be like, hey, everybody, pay for my trip to Japan because I want to go. I don't understand that. But yeah, that's terrible. Like, I would feel terrible. I lost sleep because I found out people paid me for a month, you know, that I did Kickstarter. It's not like I wasn't working. I just hadn't made anything. So they're going to have to get a coupon or something. I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, I know. All right, we've got about 5 minutes left, and so we can touch really quickly on one more myth, the myth of originality.
That's a good one.
Right. So, yeah, I hate when people throw around the word original because there is nothing. Like, it literally, as the old saying goes, there's nothing new under the sun. And you may think that whatever you just came up with is the most original thing and nobody ever has come up with anything like this before. And I guarantee you there's thousands of people who came up with something similar and probably dozens who came up with the exact same idea. And the internet has helped with that understanding, because now that we have access to the entire world at our fingertips and every artist that exists is on DeviantArt, you can go and see just how unoriginal you are. And that's the thing. It's and I didn't coin this phrase, but I always say it, ideas are cheap. It's all about execution. So don't worry about if your idea is original. It's not, but your unique expression of that idea is all of everything that you have. And what's more, I think at first that can be really disheartening to artists when they realize that, you know, you're not really going to be original. But really, your customers don't want originality. They say they do, but they don't. And that's a big marketing, a salesmanship thing to understand, is that what everybody wants is the same old thing that feels different, that feels original, but still gives them this familiar, warm, fuzzy feeling that, you know, whether they're conscious of it or not, pings some other memory of some other image that they liked before. They just want it to feel different. What do you guys think?
They say you're actually not, I took a seminar recently that said you're not actually selling yourself and you're not actually selling your art. You're selling the emotion that the person feels. And that's what you need to appeal to when you're marketing your work. Because if they don't have that feeling, they're not going to make the purchase. And, you know, there are shades of gray when it comes to, you know, copying someone directly versus being inspired from, or just having a coincidence. I know, Brigid, you've had experiences with a couple of those shades.
I've been on all different sides of that nonsense. I've had people copy me, and I've been accused of copying. It's all very cute. When people, as far as like my personal philosophy of that, it's now we're kind of moving into copyright. That's changed a lot over the years because copyright law is really, really busted. And it's there to protect the artist's rights, but it also needs to protect the culture at large. And so for me, if somebody is like, if they blatantly traced my art, and I'm alive, so I'm making a living from my art. Okay. It's not like my work's in the public domain. If they've blatantly traced my art, then, that's not cool. And I'll tell them to knock it off. If they've just been inspired by my work, and even if it's like really closely inspired or something, whatever, consider it flattery and we all move on. Is that what you were asking? I'm sorry, I wasn't quite.
Oh,
or did I go off on a wrong tangent? Huh?
That might be for a different episode.
Okay, then I wasn't sure what you were.
Yeah, no, I just know that you've had just with people copying your work and saying it was theirs, but then you've also been accused of copying yourself. So it's just,
Yeah.
There's a line that people shouldn't cross, obviously, but there's also a clear by, like I did cats and teacups. Amy's done teacup fairies for like a billion years. I had somebody go, well, you copied that idea from Amy. And I was like, actually, it was her idea. And said, hey, do this.
Right.
And I said, oh, that's a great idea. Thank you very much. And I do, when I post about it, I do say that,
Well, and plenty of other people have painted cats in teacups and fairies in teacups.
Oh yeah, the Bradford Exchange has cats in teacups, but they're ugly. I saw them.
So it's not the idea, it's the execution. I think as a professional, where it gets really tricky is that you're going to have your circle of friends. And so within my circle of friends, if I've been artistically influenced by something that a friend did, okay, and hopefully I'm aware of it, which really sucks is when you don't even realize that you were, and your friend's kind of like, hey, can we talk? But within your group of friends, if you're influenced by something, it's really important, I think, to bring that up and just address the elephant in the room and see how they feel about it and whatever. But thankfully, we've got a great group of friends and we don't hinder each other. And we understand that we're all very different artists and the execution is going to come out differently. You've got a line of Zodiac cats, Ash, and my friend Jane has a line of Zodiac cats she's working on, and they're incredibly different. And there's market enough for both of them. It is what it is.
Well, that's another myth, is the money's going to run out. But, we're all competing against each other for like this limited amount of money too, which is bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of money in the world. You just have to get it. You're not directly in this battle royale for money.
Right. Right. Everybody should be lifting each other up and helping to increase the prosperity and sharing each other's work rather than being crabs in a bucket dragging everybody down. I think that the prosperity just breeds more prosperity. Now I sound like all hippy dippy. Light a candle. Do I have a candle?
You have to step on somebody on the way to the top. Be assured that someone else is going to follow suit.
Yeah, and step on you, right? But that's the thing. We can talk about all that copyright stuff another time. You're right, because there's a lot there to unpack. But basically, the point is like I just see so many artists feeling like stuck because they feel like they have to be original, whatever that even means. It's such a nebulous word, anyway. But it doesn't exist. It's false. Just do what you're going to do. Just create your work. Keep going. And your style will follow, and that's what will be original. It's just your expression.
It's like normal. There isn't a normal.
No.
Right. There isn't an original.
Casing normal. Bad idea. Anyway, on that note, my timer went off. So that's the end of yet another episode of Our Chair Podcast. See you next time.